Live with CDP, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast live on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, and on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, and Anchor FM. Now here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Live with CDP podcast, Season 4, Episode 1 today on this Tuesday, June 28th, 2022, one day before I turn the big 50 tomorrow. Hard to believe I'm going to be a half a century old on this planet, number 50. So, Anyways, guys, I'm glad to be coming on my podcast today. My guest is going to be Pat Gregoire. He's from Coolbat, Canada. And he's also an analyst for TSN's Lacrosse Game of the Week. And he's also an analyst for the Halifax Thunderbirds. This will be Pat's record fifth appearance on my podcast. Aaron Sanders is going to be on soon, so he'll be tying Pat again. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to Pat about the National Lacrosse League season, the regular season, the playoffs, and the NLL awards they've just announced for all their finalists as well. And we'll also talk to Pat maybe a little bit about what's going on with Coolbat Canada as well. So just bear with me, guys, and I'm going to bring on my guest, Pat. Good afternoon, Pat. How you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Chris. Thanks for having me on 5 times. I am honored and pleased that I have the record right now. So I heard there's another guest coming on soon that's going to tie me. So you'll have to have me back for a 6.
Yeah, Aaron Sanders. He's a really good guy too. So I've got actually, as I was talking to you, I just got another guest on Friday. So I got a double header on Friday with Matt Jury from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, and he's also a Detroit radio personality. And I got Freddie Zomaya, the head coach of the Toledo Glass City, coming on. So I've got a busy Friday, but I'm looking forward to it.
That's awesome. What a way to kick off your weekend, right, Chris?
Oh yeah, and this past weekend was great too with the Buffalo Bisons and Pat Malacaro setting me up with a media pass and going on the field for batting practice, and I did some live interviews as well. So I hope they went well.
Yeah, from what I saw, it looked like you were having a blast. It looked great. I was a little bit jealous because I love that ballpark. I was down in Buffalo a few weeks ago. We were hoping, John Abbott and I and some of the other crew were hoping that the Bisons were going to be in town. We could maybe catch a game. Yep. Unfortunately for us, they weren't. So I'm going to try to get down to a game this summer, though. It's been a while since I've been there, but it's a great ballpark, isn't it?
Yes, they've the team's invited me back to do more media work for them. So
great, awesome, congratulations.
Thank you. And like I said, it is great baseball, and it's a great ballpark, and it's easy to get to as well. It's like 10 minutes, not even that, from the Peace Bridge, and totally first class organization. And I really appreciate Pat, Duke McGuire, and Brad Bisbing, their assistant general manager, coming on and doing live interviews with me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that they're doing that. And you know, it is a developmental league for baseball, but they recognize that it's an opportunity for some developing media to get a chance as well, too, right? So it's very unlikely that people get their start right away in Major League Baseball or the NHL or the NBA. Usually you got to work your way up, just like how the athletes have to do the same, right?
Absolutely. And I ran into one of my favorite Buffalo personalities there, Bud Bailey. He does the time clock. He does operates the time clock for the Bisons, where if there's nobody on base, Pat, the pitcher has 14 seconds. And the batter has to be in the box with 9 seconds. And if there's a runner on base, then it's 19 seconds. So it's a very useful tool, and I like it. The only thing with minor league baseball is they don't have instant replay, and there was a couple of missed calls in that game. So minor league baseball is doing some stuff right with this time clock, but you really should look into getting some kind of instant replay, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sure a big reason that they don't have it is the capabilities of every single ballpark having those angles readily accessible. Even at the National Lacrosse League level, yes, there are reviews, but not every single building has the same camera angles. Not every truck has the ability to stop and start with the same frames going back and forth. So obviously when you're dealing with minor league sports like the Buffalo Bison, obviously they have a great facility there, but not all the facilities are created equally. So I imagine that's probably why they don't have it. But hopefully it's something they're looking into, because I agree. It is a part of the game with human error with officials, but at the same time, you want to get the best result, the proper result at any moment in that game.
I think also they're worried that it would make the games longer. They generally want to try to keep the minor league games to about 2.5 hours, 2:45 or whatever, and they don't want the games to go 3.5, 4, 5 hours
Yeah,
anymore.
no, I totally get that. And minor leagues, that's another big thing that they're supposed to do, right? A lot of the testing of the rules will go through the minor leagues, and it seems to be speeding games up down in the MILB. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of similar rules be introduced to Major League Baseball. Because as you and I know, we're traditional baseball fans. We grew up with the game. We like the game, but attention spans for some younger sports fans are getting smaller and smaller. And baseball is not the most marketable game. It's a long game. It's a different game, right? It's not as fast paced as maybe an NHL or an NBA is. So they have to find ways to make it more consumable game, or consumable game, I should say, for younger, newer audiences.
Yeah. And I was going to say, they took on the St. Paul Saints, which is a Minnesota Twins top farm team. And Ron Gardenhire's son, Toby, is the manager of the Saints. And former Blue Jays superstar Aaron Sanchez is now with the Saints as well.
I saw that. I was
Yeah.
pretty surprised to see when you posted that video on Facebook that he was
Yeah.
taking the bump. Crazy.
Yeah.
That's how volatile the game of baseball is. One day you can be a
Absolutely.
star, the next day you're back in the minors.
Well, with the Bisons, Derek Collins with them and Joe Biagini. And I
Mhm.
suspect those two will get called up by Toronto by August or before September, because their bullpen is really needs some work.
It certainly does. There's no denying that, Chris.
But anyways, Pat, I appreciate you coming on. We'll get into the lacrosse, but I wanted to talk to you about the Bisons. But overall thoughts on the 2022 National Lacrosse League regular season?
It was awesome. I think the regular season, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it just seemed that there were so many one goal games and there was so much parity in the National Lacrosse League. And for a league that's trying to take themselves to the next level, those blowouts, having teams near the bottom of the standings, not really having teams battling for playoffs, it hurts, right? And I think the NLL, obviously, you had some powerhouses near the top with the Buffaloes and the Torontos, Halifax, and then the West. You could even say, San Diego, Colorado, and Calgary near the top. But all in all, there was a lot of parity in the National Lacrosse League, and I think that's something that will continue to grow. And that's why I think the league has maybe decided to pump the tires a little bit on the expansion, which is great. It's great to see Vegas come in. It's awesome that, we had a couple other expansion teams come over the past couple of years, but now I think we're getting to a point where we're at a good number, maybe add a couple more here and there. But the talent level, you don't want to water it down. And I think we're at the perfect number right now. In the next little while, another West team would be great after Vegas. If we can get to 16, I think that's sustainable for a few years, and then maybe assess adding some more teams after that. But all in all, an amazing regular season that just led into one of the most memorable NLL playoffs that we've had in many, many years.
I was gonna say I agree with you on the expansion thing, but if they do go to a 16th team, which would make a lot of sense for 8 in the East and 8 in the West, I honestly think Seattle would be a great spot for that 8th Western team. I don't know if there's any talk of that, but
There's certainly some rumblings, and there's been a lot of rumblings of a lot of spots. I think Seattle would make a lot of sense. You had another team in the West. You could easily build that rivalry with Vancouver, and then even down the coast, San Diego as well, and Vegas. I think it's a natural fit. It's just is there an ownership group willing to go after the team? And there's a beautiful building there. That's another bonus as well. But it's just whether if there's sustainable ownership is a big thing that the National Lacrosse League wants to get in bed with if they are going to bring in a team. And I think it would be great. Seattle certainly. They have done a great job supporting any of their fan bases or any of their professional teams that do come into you look at what the Kraken were able to do. Seattle, the 12th man with the Seahawks, notorious as one of the best fan bases in the NFL. And you have a big group, with the Supersonics really wanting to get a team back in the NBA there, right? So I think Seattle would be a great fit. I think there's a lot of great fits and a lot of rumblings going around who could be that 16th team. But let's say if 16 comes and it's not Seattle, I wouldn't be surprised if the next group of expansion, if Seattle was involved.
I was going to say it would make sense for the owner of the Kraken to have that team there like the Sabres. It gives them another tenant for that arena. So we'll just hope we'll cross our fingers on that. Also, Edmonton would be a good possibility too. It would be nice to have another. Sorry.
No worries, Chris. Edmonton certainly is the one that has been getting a lot of rumblings. They had a pretty strong fan base when the Rush were there now, who are in Saskatchewan playing in Saskatoon, and the support there is unbelievable. But it just the ownership group didn't have the best deal with the arena at that time. Now they have Rogers Place. So I think if an NLL team is going to come back to Edmonton, it's like you said, I think the NHL team, the Oilers, have to be the owners. They own, Rogers Place is a beautiful building. They're looking to fill more dates. Why not have them there? And I think, it's a bigger building. And as we've seen in the National Lacrosse League, there's only a few teams in the league that can sustain having those big buildings. But if you block off the top bowl and just fill the lower bowl, it creates such a intimate atmosphere. I think that could work in Edmonton. And then for the postseason, once you build that interest, once you drive that hunger to get those tickets, then you can take the upper bowl out, like we saw even in Hamilton. Hamilton, they started the year off blocking off the top bowl, and as the season progressed, they started selling tickets in the upper bowl, and it was great to see.
Definitely. Speaking of that arena, man, I got to give you guys and John Abbott credit for going on that catwalk, because as soon as Reese was going to take me up there, I'm like, Reese, is there a backup way? And he goes, yes. And even Rick Zamprin from CHML did not know this. So I went up the 300 steps. Okay, it was a lot of steps and a lot of huffing and puffing, but I'd rather go up those steps up to the press box than that catwalk, because there's a couple guys during the game, they turn the lights down and have fireworks, and they're on that catwalk. It's pretty intimidating, that catwalk, to get up to the media box up at the First Ontario Center, in my opinion.
Yeah, the first time I went up there, Chris, I was thinking the same thing. I got up and I didn't know where to go. So someone told me, okay, you go up this, get up the elevator, go up the stairs, just walk across, and it's going to be on your left-hand side. Well, I didn't realize that I was supposed to take the first left immediately right away. I walked all the way across the entire building on that catwalk and back through the other way. And I was thinking, do I have to do this walk the entire time? And so I was talking to John, and I basically kind of mentioned that in passing, and my broadcast partner, John Abbott, goes, did you walk all the way across? I said, yeah. Is that not the way? He goes, no. Once you walk out till basically where you see those seats, make a left, and then follow that all the way through. So needless to say, Chris, I took the short way up all the time, but I do know about that back way. That's usually the back way that I'll take once I'm up, if I got to go back down to the bathroom or, have to do anything like that, because the bathroom in the press box is kind of far away. Plus it's kind of busy. So what I was doing when there was no fans in the building, that became my personal bathroom that I go down to the concourse. But obviously once fans were there, it was a little more challenging, but apparently that little back way isn't as known to many media members as I thought so, because I was using it all the time too. And this was my first year calling games in Hamilton.
Yeah, Rick Zamperin couldn't believe it. So I told
That's
him,
funny.
I said, Rick, I've gone to the arena for years, but I never even knew about it. And I said, Rick, you know how many times you've been there? So it was a good story. Your story is great too. I'm just glad it wasn't me, man, because I certain heights I'm okay with, and then those heights is like, oh my God, you look down, and it's like, yeah, it's pretty intimidating. But I've heard the Saddle Dome in Calgary is pretty intimidating as well for their press box.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to call a game in Calgary for the Roughnecks. I hope one day I can, but I've heard that walk is definitely very daunting. But you know what? Apparently Hamilton's up there too. So if I can handle Hamilton, I think I might be able to handle all the
Definitely.
buildings.
Yeah, the press box at Celine Field's a piece of cake, so no complaints. Hey, I got some NLL news. I guess the Warriors just hired the Buffalo Bandits assistant coach today as their new head coach, Troy.
Yeah, Troy Cordingley. So they signed him, and he's a guy that has a ton of experience coaching at the National Lacrosse League level. He's a guy that I think for a long time we kind of expected him to get back into the National Lacrosse League as a head coach, or he was, I believe, was an assistant general manager with the Buffalo Bandits. He was doing a lot of coaching in junior as well. And it was only a matter of time until we saw it. I just don't know if we thought it was going to be a Western-based team like the Warriors. He is a hard-nosed coach. He's going to bring a great culture to that room. He expects nothing less than perfection and hard work. I shouldn't say perfection. I should say hard work. And if you make those mistakes, as long as you're trying at 100%, he's going to be okay with that. But he demands effort every single night. And I think with a young team like Vancouver, this could be a good fit. He is an old school coach. He yells. He definitely has a presence on the bench. But I think for a team like Vancouver, that structure might actually be a good thing. And he's a great lacrosse mind as well. Won a couple of Champions Cups on the bench with the Toronto Rock. So the pedigree is there, no doubt about that. It's just whether it's a good fit, and I'm leaning towards it being a good fit.
He's a very good teacher too, and X's and O's as well.
Yes, absolutely. He knows the game very, very well. Um, he's a guy that, again, I think he's won 2 Les Bartley NLL Coaches of the Year. He's been around the game, and yeah, he hasn't been on a bench with the Bandits for a long time. He was doing scouting. He was an assistant general manager. Like, he was around that team. So, and like I mentioned as well, he was coaching in junior lacrosse as well. So he has a thumb on the pulse of all lacrosse, not just professional, but junior lacrosse as well. So I think he's going to be a great fit for Vancouver. And again, I think it's a bit of a surprise. I think a lot of people were expecting someone from Vancouver or BC to take over that bench, because a lot of the players are BC based, and they usually like their BC influence. They like having their coach in market, but I guess they just don't really care where they're from, and they thought Troy was going to be the best coach to turn this Vancouver team around. Because as you saw, Chris, they were so close at the start of the year to really catching fire, and down goes Mitch Jones, who was at that point my vote for MVP. And unfortunate for him, he goes down with an injury. The goaltending starts to fall off, and next thing you know, they find themselves in last place in the West. But it was a promising start to the season. They just weren't able to figure it out. And I don't even know if coaching necessarily was the issue in Vancouver. I thought Chris Gill did a tremendous job, keeping that team afloat for as long as they could. But obviously, ownership and management felt that there needed to be a change, and that's certainly going to be a change with Troy Cordingley. He's a guy that he's going to come in. He's going to build culture, and it's going to be a change, I think, in Vancouver.
I was going to say, when you're a team like the Buffalo Bandits or any successful franchise in sports, you're going to have your coaches, assistant coaches, especially get other opportunities as well. So that's a huge loss for the Bandits. I got to put you on the spot with this question. John Tavares coming back as the Bandits head coach, or do you think he might call it retire or maybe step away from the game?
Oh, Chris, I mean, I don't know personally. I haven't heard anything, but if it was based off the vibes that I got having conversations with him throughout the finals, I think this is just the beginning for JT as a head coach. I think he's done a tremendous job with this Bandits group. Um, if you ask him, he is very hungry to add some more banners in that building. He feels that the Bandits winning percentage in finals is not acceptable, whether it was him as a coach or him as a player. He really feels like they haven't won enough championships and that they should have more championship banners hanging up at KeyBank Center.
Okay, and
And
that leads. Oh, sorry.
oh, no worries. What I was just going
No.
to say was, and I think a lot of people, when they saw that roster being built in Buffalo, they said, it's so easy. Look at the offensive talent that they have. No problem. Well, in fact, I think that is kind of hard to manage because you have so many egos, you have so many skilled players, and there's only one ball, right? So the buy-in that Coach Tavares was able to bring with this group was tremendous. And I think that's why he was nominated for a head coach of the year, because he kept that group so tightly knit and it didn't matter. It came to a point where these guys didn't care who scored. As long as the Buffalo Bandits were scoring, they were pleased with that. And that in itself, when you have so many big names, it's difficult. Like you see in the NBA, sometimes super teams don't work because
Yeah.
everyone wants their touches, right?
Yeah.
That certainly wasn't the case in Buffalo. Obviously, things fell off for other reasons, but I think he'll be back, and I think that team's going to be hungrier than ever, losing 2 finals in a row.
Okay, and this leads to my next question. Thoughts on the NL finals, I guess the playoffs overall and the finals between Colorado and Buffalo. And what did Colorado do differently in game 2 and 3 to contain the Buffalo Bandits' high-powered offense and win their first NL title since 2006, in your opinion?
You know what? The playoffs were amazing. The finals was tremendous. It really was the perfect showcase for the National Lacrosse League on the biggest stage. I felt that, again, like the regular season, we had so many 1-goal games or games coming down to the wire. You think back to that Halifax game against Hamilton where they claw back. They go up. Toronto scores, sends it overtime. Then there's the overtime winner. Then you go to the East final with, Buffalo and Toronto back and forth. Yes, you know what? They get swept is Toronto, but Buffalo only beats them by a combined score of 2 goals in those games. They both came down to the last second play. And then out in the West, it was an absolute, battle. And Colorado comes out on top. And they're a team that pretty much all season long, and especially in the playoffs, they were a second half team. And I think to go off what you were saying, the adjustments, that's something that they did so well all season long. And I think the big thing between game 1, game 2, and game 3 was I felt like in game 1, they were kind of chasing the game a bit too much defensively. They were pressing out on the Bandits shooters and giving them too much space in the middle to work. Whereas in game 2 and 3, they packed it in. They forced the Bandits to shoot from the outside. Anytime they came in the middle, Buffalo was paying the price. They played so hard, so physical. They were blocking shots, picking off passes. They just made it so difficult on Buffalo to try to get to the inside and be creative, that once they were able to commit to that system, and I mean, we can't go without saying the play of Dylan Ward was remarkable. They gave up all those outside shots, and Dylan Ward just ate everything up. So they relied on great goaltending to back them up. But the hard-nosed defense that they were able to will against Buffalo, like holding them to single digits in back-to-back games. No one was able to do that all season long. Dane Smith had 1 goal in the finals. Dogan Anakoke and Chase Fraser, both those guys, 0 goals in game 2 and game 3. It was such a impressive defensive and goaltending, performance from the Mammoth. It's so cliche, but defense wins championships. And I think the Mammoth clearly proved that. And that was without Ryan Lee and Eli McLaughlin, their top 2 goal scorers. They knew that, yes, they're down a couple of goal scorers, but it's the next man up mentality. And they knew if they can stifle that offense, they only need to score 10, 11, 12 goals to beat the Bandits. They kind of went back to what Mammoth lacrosse was all about, keeping goals down, grinding teams out, playing physical. So I think it was one of the best coaching performances I've ever seen in a finals. It was tremendous. And you got to give your hats off to Pat Coyle and his staff. It was a great, great coached finals. And that's no knock against JT because he had a great plan in place as well. It's just Colorado, I think, wanted it a little bit more, and their defense and goalie came to play.
I was going to say, I'm going to put you on the spot with this question. Matt Vince, does he come back, or do you think he's going to retire? What's your feeling on him?
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he retired, to be honest, just because look at his age. He's 40 years old. But with that being said, he's 40 years old and still at the top of his game. He's probably going to win his 8th goaltender of the year award. He was nominated for the MVP. He is unrestricted free agent. The Bandits did protect him for the upcoming expansion draft, so he won't be selected. A lot of people were kind of a little bit puzzled, including myself, because he's an unrestricted free agent. He's over the age of 36, so he can reject the franchise tag if Vegas was to pick him up. So they would waste a spot and he would go to free agency. But I think he'll be back, and I think if he's going to come back, it will be with the Bandits. I don't see him going anywhere else. He wants to win another championship. He had 3 in Rochester. He wants to continue to make a case for him being one of the greatest, if not the greatest goaltender of all time. Certainly of this era, he is. But I think another championship certainly would solidify his case. He's going to be Hall of Famer. So it's just the question comes down to, Chris, does he want to keep playing? And from seeing him this year and the way that the Bandits ended up dropping 2 games in a row to lose the finals, I would be shocked if he doesn't come back. But at the same time, if he didn't, heck of a career. And he would certainly a much, much deserved retirement. But he's just too fiery of a competitor. I think he'll be back.
Okay, and that leads to my next question. Where do the Buffalo Bandits go from here after losing the NL Finals in 2022, this year, 2019 to Calgary, and 2016? And they haven't won an NL title since 2008, but they have been one of the most successful and consistent franchises in that league for many years.
Yeah, when you think of the Buffalo Bandits, you think of a storied franchise. You think of a team that consistently is near the top. But when you lay it out like that, Chris, it is remarkable to see how they've just come up short year after year after year, especially these last 2 years in 2022 this year and 2019, the year before the pandemic freeze. They were the heavy favorites going into this, and they were disappointed in 2019. They felt like they maybe took that finals for granted. They felt that they beat Toronto and they were going to walk through Calgary, and Calgary swept them in 2. And they felt like that enough, that them failing in 19 and that sting, that pain was going to help lift them to a championship. But unfortunately for them, it didn't. Now, where do they go from here? I don't know. I don't think you blow up the core. Why would you blow up a core where, you're scoring 240 odd goals, a year? This year, they had about almost 50 more goals than anyone else in the league. And they were right there in goals against as well. I think obviously you have to make a couple changes. You're going to lose someone in expansion as well. Maybe they have to get a little more maybe they are so dynamic. They have a lot of goal scorers and playmakers. Maybe they need a couple more grinders, the guys that can get to the middle, more flavor of the Kyle Buchanan's. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's usually the smallest guy on the floor, but no one's working harder than him. No one's going to the net harder than him. Maybe they need a couple more players like that to just kind of change a different look. But it's more of a retooling, I think. Maybe bringing in 1 or 2 different guys just to change up the look. But it's a very tough question because you don't want to change it too much because you've come so close so many times, especially 2 years in a row. What could be the difference, right? Their defense is young. They do have some veterans. I think they're going to stay. Matt Vince, if you have him in the net, you're automatically going to be a championship contender. So I don't think they make too many brash decisions, to be quite honest, Chris. I think they roll back that crew, maybe a couple of depth pieces on offense change, but all in all, I think this team's going to give at least one more kick at the can. And if they don't, then that's when you start thinking about a brash decision, like, trading a Josh Byrne, or I don't think that ever would, or him or Dane Smith. But if you lose in a championship again,
Yeah,
I don't think it's out of the question.
I was going to ask you also, what was it like being in the KeyBank Center with it completely sold out, 19,000 plus fans? And also, can you just mention the expansion? How many guys can they protect on the list, and how many guys can they lose on this expansion list?
So to go quickly into your first part of the question, it was amazing. It was probably the coolest sports experience I'd ever been a part of. And I've been to some really cool experiences, some outdoor games, the NHL, college football games, you name it. This, though, was just so unique because it was a sellout crowd. Inside Bandit Land. They were so loud. And I've been to a couple of Toronto Rock games back in the day where they would sell out. I saw them, lose a championship to Philly back when it was the Air Canada Center. And that was a sellout crowd. But to be in the press box, to be like literally in the Eagle's nest, the eye in the sky, to see everything, to feel it, like it was rocking. That's what the National Lacrosse League is all about, Chris. It was so cool to see. And at halftime, I went back and watched a couple of clips, and I was listening just to the roar. And because you're wearing your headset, it does cut out quite a bit of crowd noise. But I could not believe how loud the broadcast was with the fans chanting. It was amazing. Like, you could feel the rumble sometimes in that press box. And that's not a small press box. That's a huge press box, but you could feel the energy. It was really, really cool. I had so much fun. Now, to go to your second part about the protected lists and with the expansion. Now, there's a ton of different formulas that the teams were able to pick. Like, I know, you could protect 5 defenders, 5 offensive players, and a goalie, or you could go 4 forwards, 7 defenders, and a goalie, or you could go 4 offensive players and 8 defensive players with no goalies. So there was a few options that teams were able to do, and all teams did different options of those. Now, in terms of how many players can be picked from each team's only going to lose 1 player. So it is a little bit better in the last couple of seasons that they've had the expansion draft with Panther City coming by themselves, and now Vegas Desert Dogs coming in by themselves as well. Each team's only going to lose 2 or 1. Whereas in years past, when Rochester came in with San Diego, you're losing 2 players at once. That's a big blow. So you're likely going to lose 1 player, and a player that's young. You probably won't lose an impact. I shouldn't say an impact player. You are going to probably lose potentially an impact player, but you're not going to lose a core veteran piece, most likely. But I think this year, with some of the way the rosters are built, I think like a team like the Buffalo Bandits, Connor Fields is unprotected. I'll just say this is one of my takes that I think might happen. Connor Fields unprotected. He's a local Buffalo guy. He played for San Diego. He really wanted to move back home. So that's why San Diego gave him a trade to Buffalo. Back home in Buffalo, he has his full-time job in the area in Western New York. So he's a guy, though, that is unprotected. I think he's too good of a player for Vegas not to take, even though he probably wouldn't report or not want to go. So what Vegas might do is draft Connor Fields, trade him back to Buffalo, and then maybe get a young player or 2 young players or a young player and some picks instead. So instead of getting 1 player, now you're getting maybe a player or 2 and assets with draft picks. We've seen that before in previous expansion drafts as well. So that's why these expansion draft mock drafts are so hard to pick, because you don't know what's working on behind the scenes with these general managers, the backdoor deals that you might have as well. So they might say, okay, you pick him up, we're going to trade him back. Or if you don't draft this guy, we'll actually flip you someone else. So it's going to be interesting. There are a lot of really good unprotected players. I think Vegas off the hop should get a good young core in place. But I think where they're going to really develop this roster over the next couple of years is in free agency, because I think a lot of players are going to want to go down and play in Vegas. I think it's going to be a really cool opportunity. And I think the last time I was on the show might have been just around the time that Sean Williams was named GM and head coach. Very, very well liked, very well respected lacrosse Hall of Famer. So I think a lot of players are going to want to play for him too, not just the fact it's down in Sin City.
Okay. For next year, they're going to probably keep the 18 game schedule in the same playoff format, or is there any talk of increasing it to 20 games instead of 18?
It sounds like it's going to stay to 18 for at least the next little while. I mean, they're also going to have to re-up their CBA. So maybe that could be something that is added in. But as far as I know, with the amount of teams that are in right now, I think they're set with the 18 games. If we can get into 16 teams, maybe they add an extra couple of games. I could see that. But in terms for next year, it seems like it's probably going to stay the same format. And I think a lot of people like the 2-game format for the Eastern Conference Finals, or sorry, the 3-game format for the conference finals, and then also for the finals as well.
Okay. And this, you still good for time? A few more minutes?
Yeah, absolutely, Chris.
You're still good? Okay. This is what I wanted to ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot. Can the Colorado Mammoths repeat in 2023? And what do you like about the roster going forward to next season?
Man, that's a great question, Chris. What do I like about, I mean, I could go on for days, but I do think they can repeat. I really do. I think when you're building a championship pedigree team, which clearly they showed that they did it this year, and it's no shock, is you have to have good goaltending, which clearly they have. Dylan Ward, NLL Finals MVP. But you also need a young core, which they have, but they also have veterans in place. They have a perfect blend of sustainability. So it's not like this is the last year that they were able to win. Like, and keep in mind, Chris, like I mentioned before, no Ryan Lee. He put over 100 points. He could have been an MVP candidate this year. I know he's probably on a lot of people's ballots because he didn't get hurt until the playoffs. And then Eli McLaughlin were out. So if you put those two guys back in that roster, yes, a guy like Zed Williams probably doesn't get as many points, as many touches as he did, but I think they have the offense that can do it. Their defense clearly proved that they were able to, and I love their coaching staff. Like I really, really, really like this team. During the season, it was a team that I kind of was always expecting a little bit more. It just, for whatever reason, they couldn't put a full 60 minutes together, but they peaked at the right time. They peaked in playoffs, and that's all you need to do when it comes to a shorter playoff. I mean, even the National Lacrosse League, if you catch fire, you have a hot goalie, you can go on a run. But Colorado really did peak at the right time. And just talking to a lot of the players and their personnel staff, they have a lot of faith that they can do this again. And I couldn't see why not. Like you look at all the studs up front. You look at the hard-nosed defense that they have in Dylan Ward. Anytime he's your backstop, he's going to give you a chance to win every single night. They're probably going to lose a young forward, but they have depth in their organization, clearly as it showed on display when two of their best goal scorers go down, and they continue to click at a great pace. So they probably be, I don't know if I'm picking them right now to be champions once again, but I certainly would say I think they are the favorites to come out of the West. I would say that much. I think if I had to pick a team to come out of the West, it would be them for sure.
Definitely contenders. Got to ask you this. You did a game at the Ball Center. I still want to call it the Pepsi Center.
Me
What
too.
was it like? What was it like calling a game in Colorado, and how was their fan support overall there from what you saw at that game?
Well, Chris, they call it the Loud House, and firsthand, I figured out why they did, because it was an electric atmosphere. They have such passionate fans there. It was awesome. The building is beautiful. They've done renovations. I know it's a little bit of an older building, but they've done renovations. It's great. The game day staff was awesome. It was just ran so professionally. You got a media meal before the game. The press box was beautiful. The broadcast crew was great. It was an awesome experience. And the game day operations that they have there in Colorado and Denver was awesome. It was top notch, one of the best in the league. And I think the NLL could not have asked for a better finals between Colorado and Buffalo. Two of the best fan bases, two of the most passionate fan bases that were both so hungry to get a championship again, because it had been a long time since Colorado won. I believe it was the last time they won, they beat Buffalo in Buffalo.
2006. Yeah.
2006, where, funny enough, Chris, Pat Coyle, the head coach of the Colorado Mammoth, was the captain playing for the Colorado Mammoth back then. And who was he going up against? John Tavares, who was the head coach of the Buffalo Bandits. So it kind of came full circle with that finals, but it was awesome. Denver's great. It's a cool city. The fans are great, and I certainly would love to get back there. I know we don't do too many American games for TSN, but man, it was awesome.
Okay, and this leads to my next question. Thoughts on being named a finalist for the Tom Borrelli Award, Media Person of the Year in the National Lacrosse League, and congratulations on being a finalist.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. And to let you know, actually, the news came down today, and I actually was named the award winner, so I did win.
Oh, congratulations! This is breaking news.
Yeah, exactly. So it just came
Awesome.
out at 12. So thank you so much. I'm so incredibly honored. The two gentlemen that I was a finalist with, Tyson Geik and Jake Elliott, both personal friends, good colleagues, great friends, and mentors of mine as well, working alongside them. So it was an honor just to even be named a finalist, but to win the award. I'm still in shock. It's been a dream come true to be able to broadcast this beautiful game across North America, bringing it into people's televisions. Of course, it's great to bring lacrosse fans the game and the NLL, but I hope our TSN broadcasts on ESPN and on TSN were able to create some new lacrosse fans, because, as you know, Chris, being a new fan, it just, you need the opportunity to see the game, whether it's in person or on television. It's not a hard game to fall in love with. The athletes on the floor are just superb. The talent that they have, the athleticism that they have. And for me to be a small part of it on the broadcast, just to help, entertain and educate new and old fans about the game and about these players, it's an unbelievable honor. And I just like to thank TSN, all my producers, Paul Graham, also the Halifax Thunderbirds, for giving me the opportunity to call games with Halifax for the last couple of years as well. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have won this award. And honestly, it's so much fun every time I put that headset on. And I have to pinch myself sometimes, Chris. I can't believe that I'm doing it and that I'm getting paid for it, because it is so much fun. It doesn't feel like work.
Well, and like I said, it was you and John from the Bandits who really got me into the game, and you kind of educated me on it, and I started watching it, and I'm really glad I've become a fan of it, and I'm so happy for you. A well-deserved honor, and good timing about my podcast day coming on just after. So.
Yeah, thank you. No, I really do appreciate it, Chris. This was, an amazing year. I couldn't have asked for a better year. And you know what? It's true. I know it sounds cheesy, but for you but to become, a fan of this league and of this game now, that means the world to me, because as a broadcaster of this game and as an advocate, that's my job, right? I want to grow the game as much as I can and educate people and get them to just learn about this awesome league, because I don't think it gets the shine it deserves. It definitely doesn't. And with the ESPN deal, with the TSN deal, we're just we're not even close to where this league can be, and it's onward and upward. And for me to just be a small part of that, I'm so happy and so honored.
That's great. And I enjoyed your broadcast with John and Ashley. I thought everybody did a great job. The broadcasts were really good. And hopefully next year, TSM might be able to do a little more coverage of the National Lacrosse League, get a few more games in there.
Yeah, that's what we're certainly hoping for. I think, all in all, I think it was a success. I think the league was very happy with TSN's job of broadcasting those games. As I mentioned, couldn't give a bigger shout out to the production team, the directors, the producers, everyone, camera ops, literally everyone in the truck, on the floor. Yes, John, myself, and Ashley were the faces and the voice. But for all the hard work that those people do
Behind the
the scenes, you couldn't ask for it. for them to do any better of a job. And keep in mind, these are people that, myself, I've been around the game of lacrosse for a long time. Ashley's been around the game for a long time. A lot of these people, like, it was their first year doing lacrosse games, and you would never have been able to tell that, but that's just, they're such consummate pros that it doesn't matter if it's hockey, basketball, lacrosse, horse racing. They are so talented that they can put on such an unbelievable show. And I thought the finals broadcast, it was worked out perfectly. I thought it was our best show. It was our biggest production. We had the most cameras, and I thought it was just the perfect cherry on the top of an unbelievable NL season. I agree with you. I hope they add more games, obviously selfishly, so I can call more games, but I think there's more opportunity for other broadcasters out there as well to get a shot. To call multiple games in a week. Why not have, an East and a West game every single week? Why can't we do that? Right. So if it fits into their schedule and it fits into the budget, I'm in for it. And I think the league's in for it as well.
And I'm also forgot to mention this, and I shouldn't have. I've been lucky to speak with Brian Shanahan too. And when you think of
Yes.
Shanahan, you think of hockey, you think of lacrosse, and this guy's a legend in the sport. And if I didn't have met you, Pat and John, I probably wouldn't have been able to speak to Brian. And he was another great guest of the game, and he loves this game as much as Brandon does the game of the NHL.
And Brendan was quite the lacrosse player as well. He was a very good lacrosse player. Obviously had to choose at some point, but he played lacrosse in Mimico. Obviously, his brother. I love him. He's such a nice guy. He has been great with me. I've only been lucky to actually call one game with him. For the Ontario Junior Lacrosse Finals last year. I did play-by-play. He did color. But he's so good and he knows the game so well that, people asked, "Oh, how long have you guys been doing games before?" Both of us chuckled after, and we're like, "This is actually our first game. We've never called a game before." And I give him full credit because he's just so easy to work with. He's been doing it for so long. And I think he's a great ambassador for the game. I when you told me he was going to come on the show, I knew it was going to be a great show because that guy could talk lacrosse all day long, not just NLL, junior, Ontario senior lacrosse, Man Cup. Like this guy, you said it, he is a legend of the game. He has seen a lot of lacrosse over the years, and he's got some great stories as well.
And I'm hoping to have him on again. And he's like an encyclopedia, and also Bud Bailey too. He's covered the National Lacrosse League for a
Yep.
while too, so he's been great. And so just getting in touch with you has led to me to with all these other people in the sport as well. And I learned something each time I have you or talk to Bud or Brian on here as well. And I'm hoping to get more folks from the National Lacrosse League on my podcast in the future.
Well, you know what? As lacrosse people, again, we're not the NHL, we're not the NBA, we're not the NFL or the MLB, right? But we're trying to get to that next level, and I think we try to do our best to try to get the game out in front of as many people as possible. So coming on to shows like this, why wouldn't they, right? And I think everyone that I've come across in the lacrosse media have been tremendous people. So if you need a hand getting some people, let me know because I know they would love to come on the show and talk lacrosse. And you mentioned Bud Bailey, awesome guy.
Yeah.
Cross paths with him a couple of times back when I was an intern for Channel 7 down in Buffalo, WKBW, and then, of course, with some Bandits games as well. He has been covering the game for a long time as well. And I actually really enjoyed listening to the show when you had him on. He was a great guest.
Thank you. He's like an encyclopedia of information. And then when I share my stories and stuff, it's just I call him a friend now too. I really do. I call him a friend, and he was glad to see me down in Buffalo. He's like, "Come back again." And I'm picking up. I'm like a sponge. I'm picking up all this information from someone like him as a legend, and I just on the honor to talk to him like that. And this podcast has led to me to a lot of great opportunities.
You know what, Chris? That's one of my favorite things about sports broadcasting. Yeah, it's great to go all these cool venues, check out all these cool cities, go to some cool restaurants. but it's the people that you meet along the way and the relationships that you build. And it's not just, for example, for you, you meet me, or you meet, John Gertler or Shanny, and then he introduced you to this person, that person.
Yep.
It's the actual friendships that develop after as well. And it's great because, if you do build that friendship, they're going to go to bat for you, right? If there's an opportunity that comes up, it's great. But also now you just have another friendship and another connection down the line that, if it wasn't for you, for example, just reaching out and saying, hey, would you like to come on the show? You're never going to know if you don't try.
Absolutely. Are you okay for a few more minutes to just get a couple more questions?
Absolutely, for sure.
Okay, no problem. This one I wanted to ask you too, Pat. What are your predictions for the MVP, Rookie of the Year, Goalie of the Year, Transitional Player of the Year, which I thought was interesting, Defensive Player of the Year, Sportsman, Teammate of the Year, Coach of the Year, and the GM of the Year, and the Executive of the Year?
All right. Okay. So we'll go quickly with the last ones because I think those ones were named today along with Tracy Kelusky, head coach of the Panther City Lacrosse Club, he was named Coach of the Year. He was my vote 100%. They started out with a 1-8 record. I think they ended up finishing the season at 7-11 and just missing out on the postseason by a couple of wins. No brainer there. General manager was Steve Dietrich. Outstanding job. What he was able to build with the Bandits. Awesome job. He was also the assistant coach of the Bandits. And that just shows, he's the boss of that team. But he knew JT is the man for the job, being the head coach. But he still accepted his job as assistant coach while still running the front office as general manager. He did a great job bringing in Connor Fields, drafting Doug and Anacoke, some other big moves, right? So I think that was a great choice. Couldn't go wrong with that. Executive of the Year, Jamie Dowick, the owner and general manager of the Toronto Rock. No brainer there for me. What an unbelievable job he did with the Hamilton move. And it didn't start out rosy, Chris, as you and I discussed a few episodes. Wrong. And you know what? You're not the only one who was wrong. I had my doubts. I had a feeling it was going to work out. I just thought it needed time. But it ended up being great. It was a bold move, but that's what Jamie likes to do. He's bold. He's brash. Came in maybe a bit too brash to the market. But now you saw it firsthand. Hamilton's a lacrosse town now. They are going to be back in droves next year. And, I still don't know if the Toronto thing is going to keep everyone, like some people, away. But I think there's enough people now in Hamilton and in that area that have just fallen in love with this team, fallen in love with the game. They don't care what the team name is. They've embraced them. So those three have been named. And then also Jeremy Thompson was named Teammate of the Year as well. So those awards were announced. So we'll get back to the big ones up top. MVP. This one's tricky because you have two players from the Buffalo Bandits. And right there, that kind of confuses me because if it's a most valuable award, how do you have two players that are just as valuable to one team? So I think that the NLL needs to have a similar award to what the CFL has with the most outstanding player.
Yes. Yeah.
Or even have a most offensive or like top offensive player award, because Dane Smith, what he did this year was remarkable. He almost beat his own points record, missed it out by 3 points. He needed 3 points to break, 2 points to tie by one game. That needs to be acknowledged for a historic season. But with that being said, if you take Dane Smith off that team, the Bandits are still going to be a very good team. They're still going to make the playoffs. If you take Matt Vince off that roster and just put in an average goalie, I think they're just a middle of the pack team. They're not going to be in that finals. So based off the definition of most valuable, I think it has to be Matt Vince. If you're looking at that standpoint, I think Joe Rezateris was named MVP finals as well. He would be a great choice, and so would Dane Smith. But I think just because of the historical magnitude of the season, I think Dane Smith will win MVP. Rookie of the Year, no brainer for me. Jeff Teat, this guy's going to win MVPs. He's going to win multiple MVPs in the outdoor and in the indoor league. This guy is a generational talent. When you think Jeff Teat, think Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, like Sidney. This guy is the elite of the elite. He is going to be a special player for many years to come. And I feel bad for Reed Bowering and Patrick Dodds, because I think in any other year, Chris, that didn't involve a guy like Jeff Teat, they'd be running away with the award. This is one of the best rookie of the year awards that I've seen in many years. And I think a lot of it has to do with the COVID shutdown. So you had a couple of draft class going in at once, but man, tough decision. But for me, it's a no-brainer. Jeff Teat. Goalie of the year, Matt Vince. I think he's going to win. I think Nick Rose as a finalist and Dylan Ward, of course, very well deserving as well. But I think Matt Vince is just going to get that edge with how good he was. And, you know, the unbelievable season he helped lead that Buffalo Bandits team to. Transition player of the year. This one's interesting. So basically think of this award, Chris, is the best offensive defenseman. So this one's challenging for me. There's so many good players. Reed Bowering was up for it. He was a rookie of the year. Just for him to be in that award in his first season, remarkable. Challen Rogers, you saw what he was able to do for that Toronto Rock team on offense, on defense, pushing the ball up the floor. But then you get to Calgary, and for me, it's so difficult because there's so many good transition players. But when you look at Calgary and the season that they had, starting off so slow, and what Zach Currier was able to do with this team, bringing them back. Like, I thought Zach Currier maybe should have been an MVP finalist, to be quite honest. But what he was able to do, the numbers he had in loose balls, cost turnover, and in points, it's hard for me not to have him there. But all three guys that were nominated, wouldn't be surprised if either of them win. If I had to make a pick, because he asked for predictions, I'll go with Currier. Defender of the year, Mitch Desnew, Toronto Rock defender. And I think what he was able to do with the Rock, he elevated his game. His numbers and caused turnovers, loose balls, and points all career year. He was unbelievable. He was the heartbeat of that defense. I thought he was tremendous. But Steve Priolo, another great year. He's always been there. And Kyle Rubisch, one of the greatest defenders of all time. So two other really good finalists. But for me, I think Mitch Desnew had the best year out of all three of those guys. And then sportsman, I think Dan Dawson. Dan Dawson had an unbelievable historic year, breaking all those records. He is one of my favorite people to talk to in the game of lacrosse. He's so thoughtful with his answers. He loves the game. He's a tremendous ambassador. And for me, I think he would be a great choice for a sportsman, because he embodies what it is about being a sportsman. He's a fierce competitor, but he respects the game. He respects the people he's playing against. And I think he would be a perfect decision for that award.
Okay, well, thank you for answering that, because like I said, the new fan of the league, I just wanted to get your take on all this. And I'm still, like I said, learning about all the awards and about the league and stuff as well, Pat. I was going to ask you this one. I was going to ask you, where can my audience find you on social media? And can you just quickly talk about your role with Coolbet Canada? Since I had you on, I wanted to bring up a little bit of your employer up here too.
I appreciate that. So yeah, so Coolbet Canada, we are one of the first regulated sports books and casinos online in Ontario. When we launched on April 4th here in Ontario, there's about 15 now, but we were one of the first ones. So I'm in charge of all social media and marketing. I work with a lot of our partners, JD Bunkus on Sportsnet 590, the Toronto Rock, also another great partner of ours. So everything that you see from a digital standpoint, social media marketing, with banner ads, everything like that, kind of in charge of that. Also do some digital content for them as well. And where you can find me, it's at pgreggy on Twitter, and on Instagram, you can follow me at pgreggy22. And of course, if you want to follow us at Coolbet Canada, it's at Coolbet Canada. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok as well. We're not quite as TikTok famous as you, Chris, though. I've seen a couple of your videos have gone pretty viral.
Like I said, it's just I do a lot of content and shoot a lot of video, and sometimes you get lucky on there too. I just the one video I shot from Hamilton, 43,000 views, and I never thought it would do that well. TikTok's funny. Sometimes you do videos, you think they do well, they don't, and then you shoot something that you think nobody thinks of any, and it's just But it's just another tool for me to promote myself on there as well.
It's the algorithm, Chris. For whatever reason, it picks up certain there's times where I put something out there, whether it's for the Cool Bet brand or for myself or for the National Lacrosse League, and you think it's gold. And you get a couple of retweets, you get a couple of likes, or you get a couple of shares. Then you just throw something out casually and it just gets picked up, and your next thing you know, oh my God, this just blew up. So that's why, you know what, there's some believers in the content game, like a guy like Gary V. He says, like, normally it's about quality over quantity, but he seems to believe that it's both. It's quality and quantity. So, worry about creating good quality content, but also always be pumping stuff out. And that's what you've been doing. That's great.
And I try my best to do a good job on it. And I find it's helping me become more comfortable in front of a camera as well.
There's no doubt about that, Chris. You can see you've come leaps and bounds from when you first started this at the start of the pandemic to now. And I broadcast on TSN, and I'm always looking for ways to get better and how I can get better. Go back, watch my games, have conversations to other broadcasters across the league, other other media members, see how I could do better, or was there something that I messed up? Making sure you check your notes pregame, read, all the prep that has to go, before, making sure you have the right pronunciations. Check the media guide that gives it, but also if you're not too sure, go up and ask someone who works for the team, hey, is this, or maybe even go up to the player themselves. Hey, just want to make sure I get this name right. Same thing with you, obviously not with a broadcast, but if you're going to have a host, a guest on, make sure you do your homework. Look to see what they've been up to. Look to see what they've done in the past. And I know you've done a great job. And that's one thing that you continue to do a great job is the research, because that's something that you can control. So if you can control everything that you can control, that's great. If there's other technical glitches, some things that happen, a guest bails out. Hey, it happens. But as long as you've done everything that you can control to make it the best podcast that you can, that's all you can ask for, Chris.
Absolutely. Last question for you, Pat. And I appreciate the kind words. I had to ask you this before I let you go. Thoughts on the upcoming 22 NFL season and your Buffalo Bills?
You know what? It's easy to get excited. It's easy to be optimistic about this Buffalo Bills team. The defense is improved. Trey White's coming back. He's going to be healthy. The offense, the offense was electric all season long. Josh Allen has taken steps towards being, one of the league's best quarterbacks, but you still have the Kansas City Chiefs in your way. And this is, they're on the verge of potentially being a dynasty. They're a team that's always going to be there. Patrick Mahomes is going to be one of the greatest, quarterbacks, top 10 quarterbacks that the game has seen when all said and done, maybe even higher than that. But I still think that they have a chance to do it. It's just you look at the teams that are in front of them, that even if they do get to the Super Bowl, there's a lot of good NFC teams. I think they're going to be in the hunt. I think they'll win the division. I'm just not getting too optimistic, Chris, because the heartbreak that endured, against Kansas City, it was tough. It was real tough. It was a tough pill to swallow. But I think they're going to have a great team. I think they're going to bounce back, and we'll see if they can get it done.
I was going to say, even as a fan of a team, I'd rather suffer heartbreak than having 17 years of no playoffs.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Somebody was taking a shot at Corey Perry the other day, and I said, listen, he's already a Stanley Cup champ, a Memorial Cup champ. I said, I'd rather lose 3 championships in a row than never to play for one at all.
100%. You're totally right, Chris. Say what you will about Corey Perry, about his game on the ice. And, I know he's a guy that you love to have on your team, but you hate to play against him. But he's been on 3 teams that have gone to the finals. Obviously, he has been a serious cog in that wheel that has rolled to the championship 3 years in a row. And like you said, he's already won a championship. He's won multiple championships. He won gold medals. He'll be fine. I'm sure he's okay. Of course, he's heartbroken. He's lost 3 in a row, but he's gonna, he's obviously gonna be frustrated. But any team, I know he's getting older, but there is a ton of teams in the National Hockey League that would have no problem adding a Corey Perry to their lineup for some depth and for some toughness.
It's like Nazem Kadri. I'm not a fan of his, but the guy's a winner now. He's a Stanley Cup champion, and he's proved that he can perform in the playoffs. And he got his Stanley Cup with Colorado. And like I said, he's on your team, you love him. But if he's not on your team, you hate him. One of those type of players.
There is no doubt about that, Chris. It's I you know what? Like when the Leafs traded him, it sucked because I was a fan of him, and I totally see what you're saying about his game. But it just seemed like it was time for a change. It's just, I think it makes it much worse when you look at who was traded, like, Tyson Barrie, not even on the team anymore. Alex Kerfoot, I don't even know if he's going to be on the team next year. So clearly the Leafs have lost that trade. And it's just frustrating, but I was happy for him. I couldn't be more thrilled that he won a cup. So well deserving. First Muslim player to win the Stanley Cup. Great for minorities to see, and for him to be, an advocate, and for him to be someone that, a person of color can look up to. So that's amazing. But hindsight 2020, I hate that trade. Absolutely hate that trade. Would love for him to still be a Toronto Maple Leaf. But with that being said, super, super happy for him that he won a championship.
Okay. Well, Pat, I'm going to let you go, but I want to say thank you so much for coming on. And like I said, every time you come on, I learned something new about the National Lacrosse League. And again, congratulations on being named the Media Person of the Year and for helping me get into this game. And now lacrosse, everyone's like, oh, you only watch the Big Four. Now I say the Big Five, because now I call lacrosse in the top Big Five of my favorite sports.
Well, that's awesome, Chris. I appreciate the kind words. I always love coming on here. I had to make sure it's a busy week for me with coaching, so I'm glad we were able to make it work in the middle of the day, and I'm looking forward to coming back again. Whenever you want me, Chris, knock on my door. You got my number. I'd love to talk about National Lacrosse League, lacrosse, and everything going on. And it's going to be a little bit of a down point for maybe a couple weeks. Then we got the expansion draft. Then a couple months, slow months, then free agency. So the NLL does a pretty good job staying in the news cycle all year long. Even though games aren't going on, there's always stuff going on as well.
Definitely. And now I have the CFL I can concentrate on until the NFL starts in August. So I'm actually going to be kept busy regardless right now with the NFL, the CFL back as well. So and doing my media freelance work. So Pat, again, thank you for coming on, and we'll definitely have you on again. Maybe we'll try in August when the NFL preseason's going on and stuff like that as well.
That's perfect. I think there's been no announcement yet, Chris, but I think we're going to have the NLL draft in August as well. So that might be a good tie-in as well. We can talk NFL football, and we can talk a little about the NLL draft as well. So thanks again, Chris.
Yep.
Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it. Keep up your hard work, man. I always love tuning in to your shows with great guests, and keep up the hard work, man. You could see all that hard work is starting to pay off.
Well, thank you so much, Pat, and we'll talk to you soon, and I'll download this to audio later, and I'll send you a copy of it as well.
Beautiful. Thanks, man. Have an awesome day.
Thanks, Pat. Take care. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast today, Season 4, Episode 1 with Pat Gregoire, social media and marketing manager for Coolback Canada, and the color analyst for the National Lacrosse League's Halifax Thunderbirds and the TSN's NLL Game of the Week as well. And as we're going to wrap this podcast show up, guys, I'm just going to show you the final 2 minutes of the championship series between the Mammoths and Bandits, courtesy of the National Lacrosse League and TSN.
Colorado, underdogs no more. They win Game 3 in Buffalo, and the Mammoths are 2022 NLL champions. Raw emotion on display on the floor in Buffalo. The elation of winning and the sure despair of defeat. A mammoth moment for Colorado as the NLL championship is heading back to the Mile High City for the first time since 2006, John. Their second NLL title, but you mentioned it, the heartbreak for Bandit Land. Once again, they lose in 2019. The majority of this core and this team said it fueled them all season long. But once again, they fall short. They lose in 2016. Dane Smith and Steve Triolo and a lot of these players felt that as well. But once again, they fall just short of their championship. And Buffalo, who is starving for a championship, will have to wait another season. Heartbreak for the Bandits, who wanted the game in this building with 19,000 for so many reasons, including the one.
Anyways, guys, again, that clip was courtesy of TSN and the National Lacrosse League. The Colorado Mammoths won their first championship since 2006. And if you can hear in the background, the Bandit fans were chanting, "Let's go Bandits," even though their team lost. Buffalo is one of the best lacrosse markets in North America. So, and I'm hoping to do more Bandit games next year as well. Anyways, guys, just to let you know, just 1 second. I've got so many graphics on here, guys. I'm just trying to find my next one. Hey, guys, good news. I've got a double header on Canada Day. Friday, July 1st, double header. I'm going to have at Friday, July 1st, Canada Day, 9 a.m., Matt Derry from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, and a longtime Detroit radio personality, and he's now a financial advisor in the Detroit area. Matt's going to come on and talk Detroit Pistons basketball with me and their the young team they have and their draft picks and what they did at the draft deadline. And maybe we'll talk a little Cleveland Guardians baseball with them as well. I keep want to call them, I keep calling them the Cleveland Indians, the tribe, but we're going to see if Matt will be able to talk some Cleveland Guardians baseball and also about the Detroit Pistons, the state of the franchise and where they're going to go from here with the all these young players they have and lots of salary caps. So hope you guys can tune in Friday, July 1st, Canada, 9 a.m. with Matt Derry from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. And also my other podcast, guys, is going to be on the same day at 1 o'clock Eastern. My guest is going to be Freddie Zomaya. This will be his second appearance on my podcast. Same with Matt. He's the head coach of the Toledo Glass City of the Basketball League. And Freddie's going to come on and talk about the Glass City's regular season and playoff run, and also preview the TBA finals between the Shreveport Mavericks and the Albany Platoons, who are going to play for the TBL championship starting tomorrow night, Wednesday, June 29th, on my 50th birthday, by the way. The first game will be in Shreveport, Louisiana, and then games 2 and 3 will be in Albany, New York. So it should be a hell of a series between the Shreveport Mavericks and the Albany Platoons as well. And you can check it out on TBL TV and check out their website, tbl.com as well. Also, guys, just to let you know, the Holiday Inn Express in Niagara Falls, New York on 10111 Niagara Falls Boulevard in Niagara Falls, New York, is the official hotel of Live with CDP when visiting the Buffalo area. I want to say a special thank you out this weekend to Bobby, one of my friends there, for getting me into the Holiday Inn Express this weekend, Friday and Saturday night, into a great room. Thank you to Tammy St. Clair, their general manager, and also Miguel and Megan and Lorraine. So when you guys stay at a hotel in the Niagara Falls, Buffalo area, check out the Holiday Inn Express in Niagara Falls, New York on 10111 Niagara Falls Boulevard. The phone number there is 716-298 4500. That's 716-298-4500. And check them out. They're on Niagara Falls Boulevard. They're 3 minutes away from the Niagara Fashion Outlet Mall, and they're about 15 minutes from Amherst and downtown Buffalo, about 20 minutes. So it's a great location, great hotel. And again, I want to say thank you to Tammy St. Clair, their general manager, Miguel, Megan, Lorraine, and my friend Bobby for hooking me up with a room for this weekend. And I want to say thank you again to the Buffalo Bandits organization, including Pat Mellacaro, the manager of communications, and their play-by-play announcer for arranging media passes for me to come to the games to interview Pat, Duke McGuire, and also Brad Bisbing, their assistant general manager, and also a special thanks to Gabe, one of their interns, who took me on the field Saturday for batting practice and was telling me a little bit more about the Buffalo Bisons. And also want to thank you to Bud Bailey. I got to talk to him there again, a legendary sports writer for the Buffalo News. So check out the Buffalo Bandits or Buffalo Bison's website. You can check it out at www.milb.com/Buffalo. Just Google the Buffalo Bisons. It's great AAA baseball. They are the top farm team of the Toronto Blue Jays. They're 41-30 right now and in first place in the International East. And they've got a really good manager in Casey Candale. And their hitting coach is Devon White, the former World Series champion with the Toronto Blue Jays. So definitely check out their website, mlb.com/Buffalo Bisons. Tickets are between $15 and $19. It's off the 190 downtown Buffalo, exit 6 Elm Street, and it's right off of Swan Street and Washington Street. Easy to get to, lots of parking, and it's great for affordable family entertainment. And Saline Field is one of the nice ballparks as well. And Pat also was generous enough to feed me Friday and Saturday with the media buffet. So again, thank you so much to Pat Mellacaro, and I'm looking forward to going back to some Bisons games either in July and August as well. So please check them out. And also again, the Holiday Inn Express in Niagara Falls, New York on 1011 or basically 10111 Niagara Falls Boulevard in Niagara Falls, New York, 716-298-4500 as well. Speaking of the Bisons are on the road this week for a 6-game series against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, the top farm team of the New York Yankees, before returning to Buffalo for a Monday, July 4th game at 6:05 against the Syracuse Mets on Independence Day in the United States, and they'll be doing fireworks after the game as well. And also, before I wrap this up, guys, I'm just going to let you know the Kitchener Rangers of the OHL announced their 24th head coach in their history today. Chris Dennis, who was an assistant coach last year with the Barrie Colts, will be replacing Mike McKenzie behind the bench in Kitchener. Mike McKenzie, who is the son of Bob McKenzie of TSN, will remain as their general manager as well. So I think that's about it, guys. Just one more before I go, guys. I'm just going to do one more thing like I normally do with all my podcasts. I have so many graphics on here. Live with CDP podcast. The audio version will be downloaded to Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, and LinkedIn as well. And you guys can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. At Live with CDP, I post a lot of content there as well. And I think that's about it for my podcast today, guys. Again, thanks to Pat Gregoire from Coolback Canada for coming on season 4, episode 1 today. And my next Live with CDP podcast, again, guys, will be Canada Day, Friday, July 1st, doubleheader, 9:00 a.m. Matt Derry from 92.3, The Fan in Cleveland will be on. And at 1 o'clock, Freddie Zomaya, the head coach of the Toledo Glass City of the TBL, the Basketball League, will be on to talk about the Glass City and the TBL championship between Albany and Shreveport Mavericks. So I hope everybody has a great day. And the next time you see me on my podcast live or on audio, I'll be another year older, as I'm turning the big 50 years old tomorrow on June 29th. And for some of you guys have already wished me a happy birthday, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So guys, again, thank you for everyone watching this live on YouTube. Please hit subscribe if you haven't. And thank you to everyone watching this on Facebook Live, Twitter, and later on my audio platforms such as Apple, Google, Spotify, Anchor FM. I hope everybody has a great day, guys, and we'll look forward to my doubleheader of podcasts this Friday, July 1st on Canada Day at 9 a.m. with Matt Derry and then Freddie Zamaya at 1 o'clock. Have a great day, guys. Again, thank you for watching and listening to Live with CDP podcast.